Welcome to this episode of your Spiritual Business Coach podcast. I'm your host, Ashu. I'm the coach for light leaders and spiritual buddies who are ready to own their fierce self expression and build audiences that trust you with their eyes closed. We do all of this by integrating feline energy, which helps you birth match made in heaven offers and risk a looking good marketing. And today's episode is super duper important for you. So you want to make notes out of this. Okay, goddamn, make notes because we are going to talk about how you can find your unique success framework. And so far, I had only been doing this with my private clients. I'm literally bringing out something I do with my private clients to this podcast, which means you have gotten lucky. But that's exactly what I want you to stop saying. A lot of people, they create beautiful results and then they say, I don't know how I created it. I don't know what exactly I did. Maybe I just got lucky. This story is hindering you from becoming the go-to coach in your industry. It's hindering you from becoming the go-to person for the people in your audience, because your audience does not see you as an authority, because you yourself are questioning so much about whether you created this result yourself or was it just like a one-time thing and you got lucky and your lucky streak will be broken soon. Now, why I am bringing this up is because I had a conversation with the client. And this conversation was exactly this. I don't know how I created this result, and I feel like I don't know how to guide my people through it. And if you actually do not know, I would want you to pause, stop coaching, and figure this out first. Because otherwise, you're just going to feel like an imposter. You're just going to feel like you don't know anything and you're doing a disservice to your clients. I'm just going to say that outright. Okay, a little spicy, but yes. Now, we're going to do it together. I want you to pick a result you've created in your life. Step one, pick a result that you've created in your life, whether it was your highest income month, whether you were able to improve your relationship with your mother, whatever it was. Write that down. Okay, then I want you to do step two. So I'm making them on the fly. I might mix out the steps, but this is step two, where I want you to write down what is something that was different before. Like, what was it before? Right now you've had your highest income month, or you've improved your relationship with your mom. What was it like before you created this result in your life? What were you struggling with? What did life look like? All of that. It will sound like trauma dumping, but just like put all of that. My cat has just woken up. Okay, once you've gotten that down, then I want you to look. You were doing something in the first step, which is where you were having the result. You did something differently versus what you were doing when you were not having that result. There is a very simple difference, and I'm going to help you find what that difference is, because success leaves clues. Okay, my cat just yawned. This is such a big distraction, but a cute one. I want you to find out what you were doing. How do we do that? We do it in step 3, success leaves. So how are we going to create it? I'm going to give a lot of options because some of you might not have some of those options. But first, if you journal, go through your journal entries. Not when you created the result, but right before you created the result, maybe 3 days, 4 days, a week, a month before you created the results. Go through those journal entries and see what kind of thoughts were you having, what kind of plans were you having, what were the things you were going through. Make a list of it. Write it, and I would highly suggest putting it in, let's say, a digital space instead of a written notebook space, because we're going to do something fun with it. Okay, write it, and then you will be able to find, okay, I was doing this. No need to find patterns. We don't use our brain for that. Just put it there. Second, another space, if you do not keep a journal but you keep a calendar, which I find highly unlikely, but if you do keep a calendar, I literally have every life event mapped out in a calendar. So put that out there. Look through same duration before you created the result, few days, few weeks before you created the results. What was your morning routine looking like? What was your evening routine looking like? When were you going to sleep? Were you meditating? What meditations were you listening to? All of that. Look through your calendar and what your schedule looked like. Now that I said meditations or something, look through your YouTube history as well. What were you watching during that time? What was the kind of content that you were consuming during that time? Find and make a list of it, okay? Then write down what were your day-to-day routines like, which I've already mentioned. But if you're able to remember, find out through your journal, through your calendar, and if not, then through your photos. So photos is also a very beautiful way. If you're someone who loves capturing photos and videos, go through your Google Photos or Apple Photos or whatever Apple uses and find out what were you doing. If you can find and remember things from the pictures after seeing them, make a note of all of it. And we are doing it all digitally. Okay, once you figured out what your routines were like, what content you were consuming, also ask yourself, were you working with a coach before that time? Even if the result that you created happened after you stopped working with the coach or during working with the coach, make a note of it. It's very important, okay? What was the environment like? Where were you living? Like, were you at your house? Did you move out? What was happening there? Make a note of that. And a fun fact would be also to look at your bank statement. What were you spending money on in that duration, a few days, weeks ago, before that result was created? Because all of this is to map out where your energy was going. Money is energy, time is energy, and we just want to know, thoughts are energy. We want to know where all of this energy was going. Maybe you can also see what food you were eating. All of that matters. All practices matter. This will be a big brain dump. It will take you a long time to do this. I'm going to say at least like 1 hour minimum you should be using to do this. And once you've done all of this, plug it into ChatGPT and ask it that, or any other, because I see a lot of AI rising up. Plug it there and say, become a pro pattern finder, or act as a pro pattern finder, and find the reason why I was able to create X result. These are the things I was doing. These are the things I've noted that I was doing before X result was created. Find patterns. Tell me what I can do to replicate the success based on the information that I have provided you, and find any gaps as well. Once you do that, you see yourself creating your own success framework. Now, a couple of questions that might pop up are, I don't know what exactly it was that created the result, because there was no one thing that created the result in the first place. The results are always compounded. Every single thing that you were doing was putting you on a different timeline. It was quantum jumping you from one timeline to another. Every single decision you made led you to a different direction, to a different reality. So all of those decisions were important. And all of those things that you've done, now you can put it in a framework and teach your clients. You can say, these are the tools that I really think have worked for me so far, and I think I can help you with that too. And once you have that, the confidence, even if you were able to create the result once and you try all of this and you're not able to create it again right away, that's okay. Don't stress. Sometimes there are other factors that you might not know of. Something like your soul contract might have something to do with it. Maybe the astrological factors had something to do with it. There's so much more that's happening there. But this has created results once. By tweaking it even slightly, it can create results for you again. I hope you enjoyed this episode, because this was a juicy one and I want you to go ahead, implement this. If you implement it, I can 100% guarantee the kind of confidence you will have will totally shift, and the way you will show up to sell your offers as a coach, as a service provider, whosoever you are going to feel that shift, and your audience will notice it, and you are going to sign more clients, more powerful self-led clients. Now, thank you for tuning into your Spiritual Business Coach podcast and for listening to this episode. If you loved this episode and you're feeling generous, please, love for you to drop me a review or rating on whatever platform you're listening this on. And if you feel the nudge to tell me about what you felt from this episode, or to inquire how you can work with me, drop me a message on Instagram at Listening Stories Untold. The link will be in the show notes, and I will see you in the next episode.